Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 15 is entitled as Puruṣottamaḥ Vidya, Puruṣottamaḥ Yogam. Sloka 19, part 13. Yo māmevam asammudaha janāti puruṣottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena Bharata. He who knows me without any confusion, any delusion, as the Supreme Person, different and distinguished from everything else, as it was stated earlier, such a person is said to be the knower of everything. Such a person knows all the modes of worship, having me as the object, and adores me alone in every way. This Vidya is known as Puruṣottamaḥ Vidya, where one performs bhakti towards the Lord by knowing his lakshana, by knowing how he is different from others. Not only different, he is greater than anyone, and is just not greater, is above and beyond anyone and everyone. He is completely opposite to all the doshas. He is a single repository for all the auspicious qualities, unlimited qualities. He is not bound by time, place, and object. He is of the form of jnana and ananda, and he is Jagat Karana. He is the cause of the creation of the universe. As we learned from the Upanishads, that he is Sat, an existing entity, who is Brahman, meaning who is huge, immense, who is Atma, a conscious entity, and that is Narayana. And then we saw answers to several questions like, does he create it? How does he create it? Why he creates it? Does he create with great effort? Or is it easy for him to create the universe? What does he gain by creating this universe? By creating this universe, will he get any dosha, any fault? From the answers to these set of questions, we learned that the Lord Sri Krishna is the nimitta karana. He is the instrumental cause for the creation. Now, we are entering into another important question. If the Lord is the nimitta karana, instrumental cause, with what does he create this universe? What are the material causes that he uses to create this universe? That is, what are the upadana karana, the material cause? For any creation to take place, there are three essential things are needed. Number one, a creator. Number two, the material needed for the creation by the creator. Number three, the supporting elements, tools that's needed for the creation to take place. For example, to make a pot, the potter who makes it needed to be present. The material that makes the pot must be available, and the supporting tools that helps the potter to make the pot are also must. From the previous sessions, we only learned that Lord is nimitta karana, that is instrumental cause for the creation of this universe. But we did not learn then who or what is the upadana karana and the supportive causes. So, for the Lord who is the nimitta karana, what does he uses as material to create this universe? What is that upadhana karana? And what are the supporting causes that he uses to create this universe using the material causes? Now let's learn about the three types of causes. The three types of causes are nimitta karana, upadhana karana, sahakari karana. Nimitta karana is instrumental cause, upadhana karana is material cause, and sahakari karana is supportive cause. The word karya refers to any object that is being created. So karya is effect. Every effect, every karya in this universe must have these three types of causes. So the causes are known as karana. Causes are karana, karya are effect that comes from the cause. Now let's learn about upadhana karana, the principal ingredient that is needed to make an object is called upadhana karana. Also, that object which transforms into something else as karya, as an effect, is called upadhana karana. The terms karya and karana may be confusing, but please remember, karana is cause, karya is effect. That which transforms into something else is known as upadhana karana, and the transformed one is known as karya. If we see an example, it will be much easier. Mud is the form of a ball. When it loses its ball form and takes the form of a pot, then the ball of mud is considered the upadhana karana for the pot. If we break the pot into pieces, then it becomes like a grain, sand grain. So now the upadhana karana for the sand grains is the pot. One more time, a ball of clay or a mud is considered upadhana karana for the pot, because the ball of mud transforms into a pot. The pot, when it's broken into pieces and made into sand grains, then that pot becomes the upadhana karana for the next transformation, which is sand grains. Now, if we use the sand grains to make bricks, then the sand grains becomes the upadhana karana for the bricks, because the sand grains transforms into brick. So the brick is karya, and then the sand grains are karana, upadhana karana. Let's take another example of a gold coin. Gold coin is the cause of golden ring. So gold coin is the upadhana karana for the golden ring. Here the golden ring becomes karya, which is an effect from the cause. This happened because the gold coin loses its solid form and takes into a ring form. When that ring is melted and made into an earring, then the ring becomes the upadhana karana, the cause of the karya, which is earring. Next is cotton changes its form into a cloth. Now cotton is upadhana karana as it changes its form into a cloth, which is karya. So the lakshana of upadhana karana is the object which changes into something else is the material cause, upadhana karana, and that which it gets transformed into is karya, the effect which comes from the karana, the cause. By this, we need to know an important point, that nothing comes from nowhere. everything comes from something that's existing. This is the teaching of Vedanta. An object changes from one state to another state. This applies to both creation and destruction. Ball of mud changes into pot. In this, the ball of mud loses its current form as ball of mud and gets the new form as a pot. Losing of its current form is destruction, and taking a new form is creation. But as per Nyaya Shastra, they believe in asatkaryavada. That means things get created not from something else. That is, the pot before creation was never existing. Therefore, pot is something new which was not existing. It came from non-existing thing. But as per Vedanta, that object existed for sure, but in a different form. This is known as Satkaryavada. So, from that object which a thing get created is the essential principal object which is known as Upadana Karana. Now let's learn about Nimitta Karana, which we already went through in previous session. But to make it complete, let's also revisit that. Nimitta Karana means instrumental cause. He or that which transforms the Upadana Karana into a Karya, meaning one who transforms the cause into effect, is known as Nimitta Karana. And that Nimitta Karana must be a conscious entity, one who has knowledge, one who has intelligence, one who can decide. Such entity is known as Nimitta Karana. Again, with our example of pot, for the pot, the ball of mud is Upadana Karana, and the potter who decides to make pot out of the ball of mud is Nimitta Karana. He is a conscious entity. So he is the instrumental cause for the creation of the pot. He decided to use the ball of mud to create the pot. Now let's see the third cause, which is known as Sahakari Karana. From the name we can understand that which helps to make the Karya is Sahakari. Tools which are used to create a Karya, effect. Upakarana, that is the additional tools which are required to make something like a pot. It is not just enough to have potter, whose Nimitta Karana, and a ball of mud, which is Upadana Karana. We must also need additional tools like the wheel and the stick and whatever other things are to make the pot. Those tools which are used to make the pot by the potter are known as Sahakari Karana. Say the potter has the ball of mud, but if he doesn't have the tools like the wheel and the stick to rotate the wheel, then he won't be able to make the pot out of the ball of mud. So the Sahakari Karana also plays an important role in the creation. Let's see another example. Cotton balls are made into cloth. Now the cotton ball is Upadana Karana, material cause. And the person who decides to use the cotton balls to make a cloth out of it is a weaver, who is instrumental cause. But for the weaver to make the fabric, he needs not only the cotton balls but also tools to weave the cotton balls. So here the weaver is instrumental cause, the cotton balls are material cause, and the tools which are used to make the fabric out of the cotton balls are Sahakari Karana, which are supportive cause. From this, we learn that for any object to be created, we must have these three causes: upadhana karana, nimitta karana, sahakari karana. For the pot, upadhana karana is the ball of mud, and potter is the nimitta karana, and the wheel and sticks are the sahakari karana. Similarly, for the ring, golden coin is upadhana karana, goldsmith is nimitta karana, and the tools that are used to melt and mold the coin are the sahakari karana. The creation only applicable to the non-living entities, objects, elements, that is achetana. Achetana are the one which changes from one form to the other form. This is not applicable to the living entities, jivatma, as the atma doesn't go through any changes in its form. That is, atma doesn't become big or reduce into small, or becomes thin, or becomes fat, or becomes fair or dark, doesn't become into different shapes like square, triangle, rectangle. Atma never ever goes through any of such changes. Therefore, an important point to note here is they don't have, the jivatma doesn't have upadhana karana, sahakari karana, or even doesn't have nimitta karana. One more time, because this is a very important point to know, where people otherwise get confused about the living entities. Living entities are not created. Therefore, they don't have instrumental cause, material cause, and supportive causes for their existence. This is only applicable to achetanas, meaning non-sentient beings. For sentient beings, chetanas, they don't have any of these three causes. Earlier in this same sloka, in one of the sessions, when we learnt about the lakshana of the Lord, we studied about he being akilaheya pratyanika, one who has no faults, one who is opposite to all the faults, because going through changes itself a dosha. The achetanas, the non-sentient beings, goes through physical changes, parinama, continuously. Therefore, it is a fault for achetanas, which is not present in the Lord. Whereas the chetanas, the living entities, the jivatmas, physically does not go through any changes that we just saw. Also we saw earlier in that section. But their swabhava, the state of consciousness, changes as they take respective bodies. When it takes the body of lion, it thinks himself to be lion. When it takes the body of devata, it thinks himself to be a devata. Though the jivatma never goes through any changes physically, but it certainly goes through the changes in its state. When we compare to the Lord, he doesn't even go through such change of states in his consciousness. Therefore, he is akilaheya pratyanika, one who is opposite to all the faults, all the doshas. So far, we have learned that the Lord, the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, is the cause of the creation. He is the nimitta karana for the creation of this universe. Then we also learned for any creation, the instrumental cause alone is not sufficient. We need to have material cause as well as the supportive cause. Now what we need to learn is what are those material elements that Lord uses to create this world. What are those supportive tools that the Lord uses to create this universe? The potter uses the ball of mud as material cause, and wheel and sticks as supportive cause to make the pot. The material cause and the supportive cause are different from the potter. They are not one and the same. We don't see in the world where the potter becomes the pot. If he does become pot, then he is no more having the form of potter. So this can never be the case in this world where the creator becomes created. The goldsmith can never become a gold ring. For the goldsmith to make the gold ring, he must be separate from the golden coin. Now the question comes, so what is that material that the Lord uses to create this universe, this Leela Vibhuti? That will be the lesson to learn in our next session. Namaste, Hare Krishna.